Hello and welcome to Edwards Air Force Base in California and a T-38A aircraft. We're flying the NASA livery today out of Edwards, the old Dryden, now Armstrong Flight Research Center. This has proven to be a difficult jet for me to fly, but we're going to try and just do a takeoff and landing without actually crashing into the ground and catching the plane on fire. So we are all strapped in and ready to go. This will be a solo flight today, despite the fact that obviously they would not let me get anywhere near this jet given my track record so far attempting to fly it. So with that, let's hop in the cockpit here. This is the MILVIZ T-38A Advanced Edition, the new one that just came out. It has a full failures module now, some extra systems modeling, as well as an external flight engine instead of the normal FSX or prepared lookup tables. So the only other aircraft I know of that does this right now is the Majestic Q400, the Dash 8 that is actually really well done. This one I think they still might need to tweak a little. Takeoff doesn't really behave anything like the flight manual says it should, and I don't know, pitch stability people on forums have been talking about, but we'll see if they tweak it anymore. It's pretty nicely done. You can fly from the front seat, or you can fly as the instructor from the back seat. All the systems are linked and modeled correctly there, so that's pretty neat. We will fly from the front. Like I said, yeah, we're here at Edwards. This is the new Orbix Southern California scenery. So just installed that a few days ago after it came out. All right, so enough talk. Let's get things going here. It's a pretty simple jet. Not a lot of systems. No autopilot. Obviously, no FMS. Really, no no FMCs, no electronic systems, no CRT displays. This is the original sort of T-38. What's modeled here is actually the Block 20, where they added some additional pitch and yaw, or at least pitch stability, in addition to the yaw damper. So starting it up is quite simple. We'll just turn the battery on, turn the left and right generators on, left and right boost pumps on, and that's pretty much it in terms of what we need to turn on at this point. We will call for some ground air. This aircraft does not have an APU, so it is not capable of starting its own engines. You need the ground cart to provide air. That'll get the turbine spinning in the engine start cycle. So it sounds like our air is on. We'll turn on our beacon, and we will start the right engine. So you hit the starter, that diverts the air into the right engine. Watch for 14% RPM, and then you bring the throttle out of cutoff up to idle. And that should light the engine up. Yep. Another thing I don't think is quite modeled correctly, that temperature should probably, the EGT right when the engine gets going, should go up almost as high as, what was that, 800 degrees C. Quick spike normally you get in turbines when they're starting, and then it idles. Well, it actually stays in the green then, of course, for the rest of the flight. And that's it. That's the right engine started. So we can go ahead and do the same for the left engine. There's 10% RPM, and there's 14%, so we introduce fuel, monitor the gauges, and there we go. Oxygen on. So that's engine start. We're on our own power now. We can turn the ground cart off. Stop it, then unplug it. It should probably do that automatically, but that's okay. So that's pretty much it. We can turn our radios on if we get really lost, but we're staying in the pattern, so we shouldn't. I'll just tune into the Edwards TACAN so we can find our way home. And the Edwards TACAN is about 8 miles to the northwest of the field, so the radio is actually displaying that now. Close the canopy. Comes down on us. Perfect. Yaw damper, pitch damper, and not much else we need to worry about. Flip the landing light on, although I think this time actually mounts this backwards because I'm pretty sure that actually just turns the light off. And everything looks good. Okay, so we'll set our flaps to 60% down, which is the takeoff setting, and they have a hydraulic trim control system. So we will go takeoff trim. And hit the brakes, turn them off, and we'll see if we can taxi out to the runway. Engage nose wheel steering. Runway heading should be about 23 degrees. We'll align it when we're actually out there. Usually, so as soon as you line up on the runway, you turn nose wheel steering off, and then as you're barreling down the runway for takeoff, before the rudder becomes effective, you actually just use differential braking to stay lined up. So as you'll see, I will probably be zigzagging a little bit down the runway, but what can you do? Cross over 22 right here to the main runway they use here at Edwards, which is 22 left. Flight controls check here. The hydraulics should stay above 1.5 through the full range of motion, which it does. Are all out. Again, that's pretty quick startup to rolling here, which is fun. One of the advantages of a nice simple jet is you just turn it on and you're ready to fly. Okay, here we are, 22 left. Just turn onto the runway and we'll be ready to go. try and get reasonably straight. And then you turn off the nose wheel steering and roll a little bit so that the wheel just straightens out into the direction you're actually facing. Try to apply brakes evenly there. There we go. Okay, so we're pretty close on the compass card. Here goes nothing. Let me check. Okay, so 23. So I'm going to target, let's say 1,500 feet for a traffic pattern in a jet. So about 3,800 feet, although I have really no ability to hold an altitude, especially in turns. It's an interesting jet to fly, because the wings themselves don't generate really any, well, not any, but very little lift because they're so thin. So in banks, you can't just bank. You have to pull back to actually execute a turn when you're in a bank. But from what I've read, people, and that's definitely what I do, end up gaining a lot of altitude due to that. So I think in addition to getting the right feel for how much to pull back to actually turn, you may actually have to use your rudder, since you're now banked, somewhat as an elevator. So turn coordination is, I think, very different than certainly what I'm used to flying anything else. In a bank, I think you're really using the elevator almost opposite of how you normally push it going into turns, just to help maintain your altitude as it starts acting as an elevator. In any case, like I said, this is going to be, I'm sure, an entertaining performance, but we'll give it a try. Alright, so it's actually required to do a static start when you are soloing the aircraft. So the brakes are on, we go up to mil, and then engine instruments look good, so brakes go off as we transition into afterburners all the way up to max. And then just tap the brakes ever so gently to maintain alignment down the runway. So we're going reasonably straight, so that looks good. And then about now we start lifting back, and we should be flying off the runway about now, but you see we immediately almost get into a stall. So yeah, something's not quite right about the takeoff, but nothing can handle. Okay, so gear up, and we have airspeed, so flaps up. And we are airborne. So what did I say my target was? Okay, we're going to pull back out of afterburners here and level off as we approach 3,800. Overshot just a little bit. And we are now going to make left traffic here. Yeah, see, I'm already up at, this thing just wants to climb. So yeah, I'm already up at 4,300. We'll try and go down as we come around this turn. Okay, I'd like to come out of this turn at 3,800, but I'm not quite sure how realistic that's going to be. Yeah, see, now I'm a little bit below. Actually, that's not too bad. Beep, it actually thinks I'm trying to land, so it's warning me that my gear is not down yet. There's the field there. Actually silence that warning. Okay, and we'll roll out about here. Okay, yeah, so more power. More power. Now I ended up a little low out of that. So let's try and get back up to 3,800. Trim nose down a little bit. Too much. So that's one of the things that's a little bit annoying about flight sim is you can't feel the stick pressure, so never quite sure trimming that's going on. Okay. You know what? I didn't really fly a crosswind leg, and I'm not really going to fly a straight base leg. Looking at the flight manuals for this, they always show this just sort of does a continuous turn from downwind onto final. Okay, so we're actually going really fast. Well, too fast now, 350 knots. So I'm going to pull power back and put the speed brake down. Man, we're still climbing. I really don't want to climb this high. Let's go back down. And this is going to be a sort of an extended long final here, just so that I have time to try and get everything lined up nicely. Okay, so I'm going to keep the power at about 90% RPM for now. Let's see, now I need to level off. Speed brakes up. Actually, let off more speed than I was trying to. Okay, let's try our turn. Using more power. And our turn on the final. More power. We are. Yeah, see, this is where you read about it. People tend to fall out of the sky turning on final. I've let off too much energy. See, I lost way too much altitude. That's really not good. Okay, let's try and pick up a little bit of speed, and then really I'm going to need to pick up altitude as well. Use the runway. Let's see those lights. Oh, I way overshot the runway as well. This is a good demonstration of how not to fly a pattern, or anything that comes close to resembling a pattern. But we're going to see if we can make it. Okay, I'm going to try and lead off a little speed again with the speed brakes. Yeah, we're too high now. Flaps down. Okay, speed brake back up. So we are going way too fast still. Really, see this whole turn on the final, you want to be at 0.6 on the angle of attack indicator. So we are both high and fast. I want to be crossing the threshold as I'm sort of reducing speed down past 150 knots. It's a long runway, but... Okay, so now I'm on the correct angle of attack, but I'm not really dropping out of the sky. Okay, throttle back. It actually wasn't horrible, other than I landed halfway down the runway. So let's take back off and try it again. Of course, really I should just leave it at that, given that I didn't literally crash the thing. See, it should not jump off the ground quite like that, but that's okay. Okay, gear up. Flaps up. Afterburners. Despite all the problems, I was actually somewhat pleased with the final touchdown there. just have to remember, however steeply I turn here is probably how steeply I have to turn onto final, but with less speed. What was that? The wind was throwing me right here. A little bit of weather. Okay, so despite actually oscillating up and then back down, we came out of that at about 3,800 feet, which is surprising. I mean, no, that's just how good I am. Right. Okay, so we should be down about 275 knots entering the pattern, so I'm actually going to try speed brakes instead of reducing power. Just pull them back up and see if we stabilize around 275, and not really that much. Okay, runway there to our left. Just about on 3,800 feet, which is where I want to be. Relatively stable now, that's good. Still going a little fast. Try and take care of some of that speed. Speed brakes may be a good shot, that's good to know. Again, I'm going to take a somewhat... Let's see now, I've lost too much speed. Well, actually no, I should eventually try and get down to about... Let's try and get down to 200. So I'm saying I don't want to lose... And I'm going to probably lose altitude in the turn. Let's actually put the gear down. Speed brake up. First stage of flaps. Ooh, wow, okay, yeah, I lost way too much speed here. Definitely a lot to pay attention to try and coordinate all of this. And that speed just disappears in this thing before you know it, if you're not flying at a pretty high power setting. See, again, I'm... Well, I don't know, am I too low yet? I mean, yeah, I probably am, but... So, let's see what we can do here. So we're actually right on 0.6 AOA, which is where we want to be. It's now just a question of... Oh, hey, runway's way over there. I should probably just do this with square traffic patterns instead of trying to do the walk before like run sort of thing. Okay, so now we are... Oh wow, yeah, we actually picked up altitude. So once again, way too high. We'll try and come down somewhat quickly without also picking up too much speed, which is always a challenge. Okay, so I'm actually going to reintroduce some power. How's this looking? Oh, okay, flaps all the way. A little bit low on the power. Yeah, again, we're going to use a lot of runway because we're still actually, we should be on AOA well before this, but we're still going too fast now. Okay. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to go around. Gear up. And we have sufficient speed for flaps up. Clear the end of the runway here. The plane itself is actually very smooth to fly, and if you actually get up to cruise and higher speeds, it really does fly well. But between my inability to a nice smooth glide slope, too low or too high, and as you saw on both of the last 2 times I tried to land here, I just lost way too much speed, but then made up too much more speed. So wow, we were doing it 400 knots. I should pull the power back here. So I'm higher than I'd like to be, but that's okay. Let's come around and circle around again. Try a bit more of a square. Wow, see, look at how quickly I'm climbing. I do not intend to be climbing in these turns. See, yeah, if I kick in some rudder there, push the nose down, so I'm not climbing nearly as much. We are going really fast. Let's try and bleed some of that off. Roll out the turn here. Okay, let's try to level off. Nose down trim, but we do need to go down a bit. Okay. Turn downwind here. And again, look at that. I'm just picking up altitude. So where are we? We're at 3,900 feet. The field is up there. We're a little farther away this time because we took that crosswind leg. We're at about 300 knots. Which again, I want to be going a little bit slower. So let me pull the power back and just see if it settles. It's still going up. Let's see if it settles. Bucket actually. Let's say we want let's just say 250 for now. Using a mouse and flying are actually mutually exclusive. Okay. 3750. That's okay. Rising. It's difficult to trim this. Let's trim a little off. Yeah. So we are about midfield now. Getting some. There's a crosswind here. Because it is wanting to roll to the right on me. Hold some right stick pressure. Over 4,000 feet. It just wants to climb. Which I suppose in an airplane, it wants to be in the sky. That's good. Going well for the moment. Okay, so I'm going to go gear down. First stage of flaps, actually increase the power, and without climbing, he says, but also without too dramatically sinking, whoa, we are going to turn base. goal here is we actually want to be, give it a little more power. So yeah, we want that green donut on our AOA indicator here, which corresponds to 0.6 on the AOA dial. But when we have that green donut, we should be descending, not climbing, because now I'm back up to 3,800. But the idea is you want everything such that you're on the 3-degree glide slope descending when you have the green donut. So I think, there we go, so we're descending, now actually we're a little high, there we go. So yeah, so on power management, so it looks like I'm about 92% right now, 1,000 foot per minute descent on the right angle of attack. So right now, that might put me a little low because I'm so far away from the field. So I'm just going to give it more power. And see now I'm climbing again, which so let's turn to final here. Whoops, oh wow, I overshot the runway. So we'll really turn around on final. Is an altitude more than we should. Okay, we're gonna go full flaps. Gears down. Pull back a little bit on the power. We should not be climbing in this phase of landing. The good news is I think that's the first time I didn't just massively fall out of the sky as I was making those turns, so I may be high at this point, but at least I didn't risk crashing nearly as much as I did before. Okay, so we are descending. Our speed is coming down. So if we pull back, approaching the green. So the question is, we're not really descending fast enough, so a little bit less power. The problem with this is there's actually a pretty narrow window of power where you're flying and then all of a sudden you're falling out of the sky, and the turbines take pretty much an hour to spool back up. So if you go too low on the power when you're on this approach, you pretty much crash into the ground. Okay, a little bit more power. A little bit more power. Yeah, we should be about 92%. Okay, so bit high, but this is actually much better than the previous attempts. I'm going to slowly retard the power, and we slowly at the same time flare. And that was a below 500 foot per minute descent touchdown, so that is actually exactly what you want. So that was still far from perfect in terms of the whole circuit, but that's actually just about what you want to do on the landing. I'm actually very happy with that. The other thing, I should be able to pull back at this point without the plane jumping off the ground. Okay, yeah, down at 100 knots, that's fine. So now we're using the elevator to brake a little bit. And we need to roll all the way down to the end of this runway, so we're just going to let it keep rolling. So yeah, obviously I need to practice a lot more. Even just, basic, straight level flight with this thing. I need to really work on the turns and work out how I can turn without massively gaining or losing altitude, and then just getting it the right, the right height and everything out of turns, and actually lining up for the runway, rolling out of base, although that's not really a problem with this aircraft, or me in this aircraft, that's just a general situational where am I problem. And, oh, nose wheel turn on. Okay, there we go. after I turned on nose wheel steering, I was pushing the rudder pedals and nothing was happening. That was interesting. Cool, so yeah, that is the T-38. I have to say I am happy that despite some of the, what would in real life be near crash and death situations, I didn't actually trigger the either crash detection or this thing didn't burst into flames. And the actual touchdowns all 3 times, despite scary approaches, they're actually pretty good. The first one, was halfway down the runway, so while the ultimate touchdown was good, it wasn't a good landing. The second one seemed decent, and then, yeah, that last one there, that was my best yet. I'm reasonably happy with that. So that's it. We can open our canopy here. And that is the T-38A. Really interesting jet. I didn't really demonstrate in the air. You really isn't maneuverable. You can do 720 degrees of bank per second. It will just spin you around the axis of the aircraft here. So pretty cool. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and talk to you later. Goodbye.